Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of I Think I'm Human Too. We are back at Savannah Kisses.
Back in my house.
Back at my house. That's what Raphael calls her. I don't know where he calls my cousin that too.
I don't know.
And
I've
her
never
name
heard
is
about
Savannah.
that. I've never heard that before you
Are you
guys.
comfortable with your mic?
Yeah. It's just that
Okay.
the cord is like here on my hair, but I'm okay.
You can move it.
I don't want to move the stand because I'm like, that's what I'm golden.
Okay.
I'm good.
Comfy cozy?
Comfy cozy.
Okay, let's get this party started. So last week we talked about birth control, and it was actually so funny because I posted some clips online, and I know you saw some of the comments.
Yeah.
People were pissed, being like, do your research. And I'm like, did you even listen to the episode? Like, babes did the most research possible and went to med fucking school for it. like she didn't Wikipedia that shit.
I have a little bit of knowledge, just a little bit.
Just a wee little bit. So yeah, I thought it was kind of funny. People were like, no, birth control does cause fertility issues.
I have a hard time with that because I'm like, I get the perspective because even when I was in school, went to my OB last year. I was still in school and I was like, I think I'm going to go off it because of fertility stuff. But the thing is the hormones that there are in it is what your body naturally makes. It's tricking your body into thinking you're already pregnant.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
yeah, just anyone that commented that, I just want to be like, go to med school.
I'm like, also
Go to med school or
shut up. Do your own research.
So I opened up this morning actually on Instagram. Let's talk before we get into the answers of them. Anything new from the last week? Anything wild and exciting? We went to a 3M Golf Open event yesterday. It was actually really funny.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it was fun. I will say, would you go again next year?
I would go again next year for only the simple fact of like the social aspect. Like I thought that the setup was really nice.
Yeah.
I'm not a golfer.
Yeah,
like,
no.
I'm like, I don't get the point of it. Sorry for anyone who golfs, but I really don't get the point of it. I love the social aspect. I thought it was fun. I thought the crowd was fun. All the Stilly employees were amazing. It was clean.
Yeah. The one recommendation I would say that they need to do is add their own porta potties. If you're spending that much money for a ticket, you should have your own, at least your own porta potties.
Oh, I 100% agree.
So yeah, we did the 3M Open. What do we got coming up? I will be in Malibu this week. By the time that this episode comes out, I will be in Malibu.
This is my finals week, so this week is gonna be like.
Yeah, you're busy.
This week's just gonna suck. I'd rather be in Malibu with you, to be honest.
Yeah. All right. So we opened up questions on Instagram per usual, and we did get some really good ones that I thought would be good follow-up ones. So let's get this party started. So one of the questions was, did you get breakouts when you had your IUD? So that was obviously structured towards me.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, what did you guys do to clear your skin while on birth control? So I did not get any sort of reaction to my IUD. Until the last day when I was like in the most pain that I've ever been in, when it moved, I loved it so much. I never gained any weight. My weight was very, very even keel. I never had a period. I never even got like hormonal, like super angry or low. Like I was so mellow all day, every day. I loved it. Like I literally loved it until it moved. And then they were like, oh yeah, haha, this is very rare. And I'm like, no, I've actually heard that this is
that's actually a really
common
common thing. It's actually super common to have it embed into the muscle because you're pushing it up to the top. And I know because I had to do a class on it. It was not fun. A little plastic vagina. Would not recommend. But you have to push it all the way to the top. It has to sit right up against that muscle. And so it does embed over time. It means that your placement was good, which is why you had a good experience. Like you didn't feel it or anything.
No, it was moved.
It moved into the muscle?
Completely sideways. So it wasn't even effective.
Flipped?
Yeah, like if I was balls to the walls in it with whomever I was with, I would have probably ended up.
Oh, so yours like rotated.
Yeah, it was sideways. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Don't know.
I've heard of it embedding up.
Abby. No, mine was sideways to my left. It was like the left side I could feel in the muscle.
No wonder that was hurting you.
Yeah, it was so painful.
Damn, that would have hurt so bad.
It literally felt like I was getting stabbed in my muscle. But I didn't know what it was because I was like, oh, that's weird.
You're like, are these cramps? Because I haven't had them for 2 years and it's real not comfortable.
Yeah, I don't know. Other than that, no, I did not have any side effects. I preached to anyone that would listen. I was like, if you're in the need or look out for birth control, like I love my IUD. I was like Morena's #1 sponsor, whatever I had. I don't know.
It's either that or the Kylina. One of those two.
One of the two, whatever. I was like, IUDs all the way, baby. Yeah, no.
Without a period, I would say the exact same thing. I'd be like, this is great.
I had nothing, no symptoms, like at all. I actually loved it because I was also in that age of where you like turn 21, so you're drinking all the time. Literally, when I got that out, I started weight gain like insane.
I've heard that, honestly, with IUDs, with the weight gain. That's the biggest thing.
Getting them out?
Yeah, getting them out. And then also getting it when you first get them in, like your period is super irregular. If you do get periods, sometimes they stop. I never had one. But some people get them super heavy for the first 3 months. Like the Paragard one, which is copper. They say that the first 3 months are going to be the worst period you've ever had. Like it's going to be a heavier bleed because there's no hormones in it. It's just copper. But like that's going to be the worst as your body's regulating.
No, thank you. But did you have any side effects?
I was 16 when I started. So it's hard for me to remember. But I do know that for skin, because I work in aesthetics, and skin is something that a lot of people have problems with when they get off birth control and on birth control, because your hormones are getting more regulated. And then when you're getting off of it, your hormones have been all over the place being on birth control. And now you're taking away those hormones. So your body reacts by acne. There's a couple of medications that I know that people typically use. And again, this is not me saying that you should be on them. Please talk to your medical provider about it. But spironolactone is one that people use for skin commonly, along with a birth control or by itself. And then clindamycin was the one that I was actually on topically. And it was just like a topical kind of liquid that I would put on my face wherever I would have breakouts, because I would get little cystic spots whenever I was on my placebo week.
I could never imagine you with a pimple in my life.
Do you like my skin?
You have like the most perfect skin. It's disgusting, actually.
Thank you.
It's kind of
Thank
annoying.
you so much. Well, to say that to my 20-step face routine at night.
Right. Tell that to my $8 million skincare routine.
For real.
Okay, let's move on to another question. With the routine of sex more rarely, have you guys fallen into a roommate phase? So this is more like a marriage question versus like a... I do want to do a whole topic on like, because last week when I said something like I never slept around, like I wasn't like out there just freeballing it, and I know you weren't either. I was never like a one night stand girly. I to this day have not had that. So
me either. That would scare me. I don't know why, but I'm like, that would scare me a little bit.
Where I was going with that last week, saying like I don't think it's a bad thing to have multiple people that you've slept with. I know like some people are like, we're one and done, we're married. Like I say myself to marriage, you know.
I think you learn a lot about yourself and what you like during sex, which I think is important. So I think multiple partners till you find what you like is what it should be, honestly. So I'm like,
it's so hard. I want to have a whole topic on this because I don't really want to talk too much on it right now, because I'm like,
there's a lot.
I feel like we should really structure what we're going to say, because that one will get eaten alive.
That is so true.
Because coming from someone that like, I mean, her and I have talked about like only being with the person that you've been with forever versus like, I'm not sitting here saying, oh my God, I'm going to sound like, watch, because my uncle listens to this shit. He's going to be like, you whore.
Yeah. So what was the question?
Like, yeah. Anyways, we're going to have, I want to have a whole topic on that. Yeah. You whore. I think I'm just one of those advocates that if you're out there in the dating world, and I don't know, it's such a stigma of like, have a low number, but then it's like, because if you have a high number, you're a whore. But then it's like, if you're a low number, they're like, oh my God, you're a prude. And it's just like, there's no happy medium. So I do want to have a talk on that eventually, on like a whole episode. And I also think it'd be really fun to have Raphael's like input as a male. Like,
oh, because it is kind of sexist. And it is a little bit for sure. Because I'm like, women can have a high or low number, but if it's high, you look at them a little differently sometimes.
Well, no matter what, you're never going to win. That's anything in like the female world. But the same thing with, Hadley.
Let's just say
the other day when I posted that, and I was reading through the comments. Mind you, some of the men have been finding my videos and just like roasting me to shreds, finding Raphael's Instagram, messaging him, you need to leave your wife, like she's horrible, blah, blah, blah. With you guys having sex less frequently, did you guys fall into a roommate phase?
Honestly, I definitely think we did. And I feel like it's hard when you're with someone for so long, because it's really easy to fall into that roommate phase. I was told by someone when I first got married, they're like, a relationship or a marriage is constant falling in and out of love. Like that moment where you're in those moments that have super high highs and super low lows, but that middle ground is really what that roommate phase is, and you're there more frequently. So it's like you have to do things to kind of get out of that roommate phase. I feel like when you're busy, it's hard to want to give more energy into anything, and sometimes even your partner, at least in my case. Like I come home and I'm just like tapped. Like I don't have the energy to even have a conversation with you, which isn't fair to you, but sometimes you're just tapped, and that's where that roommate phase definitely settles in.
Raphael and I got like into a phase of like, and I've told you about that. I was even asking you like, cause you start to ask your friends like, hey, not to like pry or anything, but like what's going on in your guys' sex life? Just because I'm like, is this average? And they do say, what is it? That if you're not having sex at least once a week, it's a sexless marriage.
Yeah. 4 times a month is a sexless marriage. So 1 time a week.
Yeah. So we were like under that at that point because I'm like, again, we were just so scared and didn't really know what to do. And like, obviously there's a little bit of background stuff that I have not publicized for the world of something that him and I had gone through just last year when we first got married. So that was kind of like what scared us. And I just like talked to the girlfriends and I was like, what's going on with you guys? And obviously like your guys' business is your business, and every relationship is going to have different lulls and peaks and valleys because we all have different problems. We all married different people and we are all different people to begin with. So yeah, when we got into that roommate phase, I still to this day, like tell him, I was like, hey, like we need to go on a date or something. Or like, sometimes when I'm out to dinner, we're just so used to being on our phones, especially like me doing my job. I'm constantly on my phone, and he started to do that now where I'm like, say we get somewhere and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to upload this. And then when we sit down, I start uploading. Well, then he's getting bored because he was like, so then he goes on his phone. And so now we've started to try to do like no phone time at the table. I'll like leave my phone in the purse or something. So it's just like, even just finding like little ways to get back out of that.
And feel connected again.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because intimacy, just like we said last week, it's like marriage is not based on sex at all. It is important. I'm not saying it's not at all, but I think there's different ways to be intimate and to just even have a physical connection or a mental connection of like a conversation. And I always say that, like I ask you, I'm like, what do you and your husband even talk about? Like, what is your guys' like excitement of a conversation? You know, Raphael's and I's is the future and like planning our houses and what we want to do and the business. We love talking business. It's actually kind of like, dude, can we talk about anything else?
You're like, can you ask me about my day?
Yeah, I had a great day.
My feet are sore. Can I have a feet rub, please?
Right, literally. So I don't know. I think you really just got to take a step back, acknowledge you're in the roommate phase, figure out how to get out of it, whether it be going to dinners, whether it be having a movie night where you just don't go on your phones, spice things up, text him something funny, like, can't wait to see you tonight. Like,
and I think also knowing what your partner likes is super important, because you might, like for me right now, I'm like, I don't love to cook. My husband loves when I cook. So a couple weeks ago, I was like, you know, I'm going to make dinner tonight because I have a little extra time. Did I want to? No. But it's like when you're in a relationship with someone and you know that it matters to them, sometimes that's what can break that roommate phase, is just going out of your way to do something nice for the other person and taking that time. Being
with someone, like literally, I think the foundation of marriage is putting the other person first. If everybody's always, well, it gets hard because every marriage is different. At least in my marriage, I think putting the other person first, or at least not even necessarily like, like I don't, when I say that, because there's so many people that I feel like put other people because you're a put other people first person, but you get shit on. Yeah. So it's hard because you want to have that partner that puts you first as well. So it should be like a both. Like Raphael always puts me first. Anytime he gets invited out for a guy's night, does he think of me and like stuff like that? Obviously, like that's obviously he can go have a guy's night just as much as I have girls' nights. But it's that mindset of like, oh, okay, what is Catherine doing? Like, do we have plans? You don't just say yes. Like you have to start to prioritize the other person's wants, needs, wishes. And like the more that you get used to your partner, you know what their wants, needs, and wishes would be. Anyways, we're going to move on from that topic because I just can't with the dogs. Okay. Have either of you guys struggled with losing your sex drive on birth control in general?
So 100% yes, because it basically is spiking your hormones to think that your body's pregnant. And so there's still times when you're like, okay, like when a woman ovulates, I feel like that's always when they have more sex drive, because that's just like your body's naturally telling you, okay, it's time.
Put it in
time
me.
To get pregnant.
Put it in me.
I'm
ready. Get up in there now, boy.
But please don't, because I don't want one of those yet. Oh. Anyway, so I do feel like my sex drive personally has lowered, but I feel like when you're in times of high stress, you don't have much of one anyway. Or when you have things going on in your life that are so emotional, or you have like something so deep going on that you're like, I can't even connect with you because I have so many things to think about. And I feel like the last couple of years for me, just being in school and just constantly just going all the time, I've really lost a lot of like, not myself, but like myself in the process, because I don't have time to think about myself or my own needs. And you're over there smiling because you're like, yeah.
Based off what you were talking about, I think that also coincides with the roommate phase. It's just life gets so exhausting
For sure.
in general for single people, but even for like, again, when you're constantly putting someone else first, or you're having to uphold your job, your children, anything like that, your dogs even, like it gets to be a lot. Any info to share getting off of birth control? I've been on the pill since I was 15. Now that I'm 23, it's time to get off. That would be a you thing. Because again, I had no symptoms. I just took that shit out and hoped for the best.
You're like, I just went with it and it was good to go for about 2 years. I think getting off birth control, definitely talk to your provider. They're going to stop it at like the start of the month, because that's probably, at least that's what my experience was when I asked her if I did skip a month, or if I did want to get off of it, what would it be? And she told me the start of the month after you finish the full cycle, just so that your body's regulated going into it, which makes perfect sense to me. I do know that when you get off birth control, there's going to be side effects just due to the hormones that you're taking. So you might have weight gain, you might have more acne. Those are the two most common ones that I've experienced with like my clinical rotations. I do think that if you just talk to your provider and say, hey, I'm worried about my skin, especially if you have previous like breakouts before getting on birth control, no, you'll have them after. So I think talking to her about like proactively taking one of those medications or getting a topical that you can use, just because having no acne and then all of a sudden having a lot of hormonal breakouts is really hard, especially for really anyone, but women in particular, because makeup does not go over it.
Ooh, this is a little bit different. What is the best advice that you can give to a newlywed?
That's a hard question, actually, because I feel like there's a lot of advice, but I think honestly, just enjoy time with your partner. Don't think too much of the future. I feel like so many people are so focused on like getting ahead, or now that we're married, we can do this. Just enjoy the newlywed phase, because it goes so quickly.
I did an episode with Raphael a couple of weeks back talking about being our first year of marriage. I think it's titled First Year of Marriage Part 1 and 2. So if you have any questions on it, I would highly suggest going back and listening to that, because that's where you're going to get all of your answers from me on that topic. And then also you get Raphael's answers in that. So I love that.
I do think it depends on like your partner and kind of what you guys prioritize, because each relationship is just so different. I do think for me, it depends on how long you're with your partner too. Because if you've been with them for like, for me, I was with my husband for 10 years before we got married. So it's like the newlywed phase didn't seem like a newlywed phase because we'd been together for so long. But like for you guys, it did.
It didn't really.
It didn't really?
No, the only thing was like being a homeowner. Like that was kind of it, because we moved into our house right before our wedding, like the week of our wedding. So we didn't really have too many changes necessarily. It was more just, okay, now we live in a house. And then literally 5 months later, as my dad died. So it was like our life changed rapidly, and social media, I quit my job. Like there was so much. It almost felt like we didn't even have time to enjoy being each other's like spouses.
That's why the newlywed phase, I'm like, just enjoy it, because everything moves so quick. Like take time for you, figure out how you guys can be like with each other. I would recommend the Love Languages book to literally any single couple ever.
I need to read that.
It's so good, because you learn how to give love and then receive love, and each person's different, because how I give love is not how my husband receives love. Yeah. So when I do things that I'm like, oh, I'm doing it for you, it doesn't He's like, okay. It doesn't show him the love that he wants. So it's like, it's really important to figure out what your love languages are, and that will save a lot of stress. Yeah. For sure, in newly married couples.
Yeah. I think Raphael's like he likes to give acts of service. Mm-hmm. I would probably say that for him. But sometimes, I don't know, you just get so like,
and it changes. You can have more than one.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm both. I'm pretty sure I'm even with, I know quality time is one of the two, and I think the second one is words of affirmation. But like him like doing stuff all the time around the house, it's like his way of loving me.
Yeah, like showing.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because I'm like, I just got so used to him doing stuff around the house. Now he's like, well, why didn't you fucking do anything? And I'm like, well, because you do it. Like, why do I need to?
Like I was banking on you, buddy.
Right. I was banking on you, babe. Yeah. Okay, so I looked up I posted this on Instagram last week. Did you see my post that I was like, what are some women concerned about birth control, or why? Yeah. I looked up the top reasons. Let's just run through them quick. So fear of side effects. I think I just want to clear up this episode and just kind of talk about what most people are concerned about. Fear of side effects. Obviously, that's with any medication you take. You could have a side effect. Every single person's body, DNA, makeup is all so different. Anything you put in, everybody's going to have a different reaction. We talked last week about even like ADHD meds, depression, anxiety, fucking strep throat. Like any medication you take is going to be different. So I think any fear of side effects should not hold you back. If you are looking to be on birth control, don't let your fear get in the way. Just make sure you talk to a trusted provider and they should be able to figure it out for you. And then if you're having any issues, they can definitely help out and get you on something different.
Agreed.
Agree?
Yeah.
There was, sorry, I know this is ADHD again. There was someone who messaged me and I didn't screenshot it, but she had said something along the lines of like either she wants on birth control, but her husband doesn't, or vice versa. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was her and her husband were not agreeing. They've been together forever. They didn't want more kids, but they didn't go about, but he wouldn't go get, that's I think what it is. She doesn't want to be on birth control, but he doesn't want to get a vasectomy. So he was like, no, you have to be on birth control. And she was like, Hadley. So they just weren't agreeing on the topic. I don't have advice for that because I'm way too fucking blunt of a person. My advice would not be kind at all. And it really wouldn't be advice that you probably want to hear. Do you have any advice for that other than...
I actually do.
Oh,
believe it or not, I do.
Perfect, because you are probably going to...
You have some advice, Hadley?
Get over here. Come on. Leave him alone. She wants that bone. It's the bone. Can you hand it to her or will he flip out?
No, he won't flip out.
How do you get your bone?
Get it?
That's what she wanted.
There you go. And you chew this one. All is good in the world. Be kind, be loving,
okay.
be gentle.
What's your advice for that one?
Oh, my advice for that one is honestly, I get the whole topic of the guy not wanting to go in because men, but also women too with being not wanting to be on birth control. It's really, really common, especially post kids, because it can change your mood sometimes. And women are worried about that when they have children and like a life to upkeep because they don't want their mood to change. Like that does affect their relationship with their children. But I will say that one thing I saw in my clinical rotation actually is when they partners don't agree, go in and sit with the doctor, both of you together. Like
together.
Go get the information together. And so he can understand why you don't want to be on birth control. And it's a little more knowledge other than just Google. And then it also gives you a chance to say, okay, maybe I do want to be on birth control because there's more options than I know. So there's a lot of different options and go in together. And same with a vasectomy consult, go in together so that you can understand his perspective.
Why he doesn't want it, yeah.
Because I think that's the best. And it strengthens your relationship too. So I would say just do everything together because it's a choice as a couple and it affects both of you. So I think that's a huge, that's the only piece of advice I could give.
I'm glad you answered that one because I would have been like,
hell no, you go on birth control.
Leave. Okay. Yeah. No, I'd be like, bye.
Be like, I don't want to.
I'm so cutthroat though. Like, that's why I'm like, when I look at Raphael, I'm so fucking thankful. I would not have married him if our goals and views and visions and things didn't align. Like, we are not 100% perfect, but there were certain things that I'm like super anal on. And we even talked about birth control. Like, obviously if you're going to start having sex with someone, you should be, that's where I said last week, like, I'm not sitting here saying like if you're sleeping, even as a one night stand, you should be like, hey, by the way, I'm not on birth control, just so he's aware of your body.
Yeah.
And the repercussions that could be possible. But anyways, I had said that to Raphael. I was like, nope, I'm not on birth control. I don't really love it. The one I liked a lot, I won't go back to. Anyways, so I'm very happy with that because if he were to be like, no, I'm not getting that, but like, you need to do this, I would be like, first of all, you're not going to tell me what I need to do. Let me just state that right there.
Right, like that affects me.
And second of all, if you can't do it, why do I have to do it? Just a question. Anyways.
Actually, yeah.
The next thing that is a top concern for people is health concerns. I don't know any of that. I know that there's blood clot issues, correct?
There is blood clot issues, especially like as you get older and you're still on the actual birth control pill, they try to make the estrogen lower because there's a higher risk for blood clot. So they always say, at least in clinicals, this is what they said, like take a baby aspirin when you fly because that'll thin your blood to a point of like the potential to lower the risk of getting a blood clot because your hypercoagulable state is when you're flying. So it's like that's when your blood is a little bit slower and more likely to clot. So that's one thing that I learned during clinicals.
Again, not medical advice. Talk to a doctor if a health concern is your problem. Do your research, talk to your doctors, and that. Another one is misinformation, and that I can 1000% see. Again, I might have been a very, 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 very small percentage of the movement of my IUD. I don't know. So don't take my advice just because I say I don't like an IUD. I don't know anything about them other than I know my experience that I had, and I choose not to do birth control again. I've also been the person that is skeptical over birth controls just because of misinformation that I've heard. That's why I thought it was important to have you on to kind of talk about certain things and be like, yes or no, like not from a medical advice perspective, but having a little bit more medical knowledge of there is so much misinformation out there on literally any fucking topic. Like you could say that this wall is yellow and I would say it's tan. Like no answer is right or wrong. I don't think there's an answer that's right or wrong for being on or off birth control either.
Well, and it's hard too because a lot of the statistics with birth control that I found and I've been researching and writing papers is they have a controlled group of people that they're studying. And when you're on birth control, you have to study like where are you at in your cycle? Did you start with a lower egg count? Did you start with any comorbidities? Like did you have PCOS? Do you have any of these other concerns? So it's hard because it's like there's so much that goes into researching things.
Yeah.
And a lot of the research is selective to make it seem one specific way.
That makes sense. The next one we kind of talked about last week, the fear of reduced infertility. This is where you got eaten alive online just because people are like that. But
guys, I can't take it. That like hurts my soul.
No, don't let it. Like as soon as you let people online hurt you, then you've lost that war. Again, you talked about this last week. You're born with the amount of eggs that you're going to have. Mm-hmm. Do your own fucking math and call your own fucking doctor, okay? Leave us alone.
Well, and there's so like to go on that topic of lowering fertility, there's a lot of different things that go into effect for lowering fertility. Like the hormones that we eat from meats, cheeses, how things are pasteurized. Like there's more research on that than birth control causing less fertility. So I do think do what's best for you, do your own research, but also look and see what the study groups are so that you're doing the correct research.
You heard it here first, folks. Another cautious thing that women are scared of or cautious about, religious or cultural beliefs. That one I 1000% can understand. We both said we've come from a religious family where it's shunned upon, but here's where I go with that. It's bad if you have sex before marriage. It's bad if you prevent babies. It's bad if you abort a baby. It's bad if you have too many babies. It's bad if you have a baby and you can't afford the baby. I don't fucking know. There's no answer there. Like, that's where I want so badly religion to just be left out. Do what you and your God want you to do. Do what you and your God want you to do. And leave me the fuck alone. Because I'm not sitting here saying I'm not a religious person. I do believe in a higher power. I do believe in God. I do believe in Jesus. I believe in a shit ton that's in the Bible. But one thing I don't believe that's in the Bible is telling me what to do with my own body. Like, I just don't like that.
Well, and God, I grew up Baptist. I'm like, God is a forgiving God. God wants you to do what's right for you.
An awesome God he reigns. Okay, another concern for women is, and the biggest one I think, is anxiety about accidental pregnancy while on birth control. You would know more rates there. Like,
honestly,
it depends on what you're on, right?
What?
It depends on what you're on.
It depends on what you're on, and then it also depends on when in your cycle you're having sex, to be honest. Like, knowing when you're ovulating is super important because your percentage goes way, way, way up if you're ovulating. But I do know that the statistics that I learned in my last clinical rotation at the OBGYN was it was 99% if you take the pill. No, but I kind of wish I would have. Santino, could you send me that clip later? I know that on the pill, it's 99% effective if you take it on time and regularly. When you start skipping days or take it late, then you run into the risk of an accidental pregnancy. I know that IUD is the top one for protection. And then I think the lowest one is maybe the diaphragm birth control.
So I think that was kind of my biggest concern too, of like, accidental pregnancies with or without birth control is terrifying to me. As soon as I found out that the IUD had completely moved, so it was basically not working. Thank God I was in too much pain to be having any sort of six. That word is so weird to me. I don't know why.
Honestly, it does. Something about it just kind of grosses me out. I'm like, it just sounds dirty.
Yeah, I have sex.
Like,
Ew.
ugh. I'm like, I need to go shower. Ugh.
I need to go shower. Don't forget to pee after you
That's
do it.
important.
Anyways, so those are kind of like the main concerns that everyone talks about. Again, all we have to say is do what is best for yourself, what you believe in, what you want to do. I really am a huge advocate in women's rights. I know that's kind of wild because like I don't really come across as like a big feminist and like I don't know. I don't talk about it too much because one, it gets so controversial.
Yeah.
So I try not to post about it because I like to have these conversations, like long in-depth ones. You can't make a 3-minute TikTok on this. But I really just think it is the utmost important to do what is best for yourself, what is best for you and your family, you and your God, whatever you want to chalk it up to. So I think we're going to wrap up this episode.
I love it.
I mean, 20 minutes of it was spent around these dogs.
It was quite an episode, honestly.
It was quite an episode. I, again, always want to say thank you guys for being here. There are big things coming of just like life, and I just love it. I love being on this journey with everyone. Obviously, we are on all social medias, TikTok, Instagram. I'm even on fucking Threads. You're on Threads.
Yeah.
Human 2 is growing large and quickly, which I am so thankful for. We hit 10,000 followers this week. Hattie says, yeah, we did it. So we're continuing to grow. If you want to give any of those accounts a follow, or YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, any subscription, like, comment, share, we appreciate those. The bigger that we can get, the more that we can continue this. So we love that. Even though we can continue this anyways, because we like to talk anyways. So it doesn't matter.
We talk a lot.
We talk a lot. Her and I, we're doing a sleepover tonight, and I was like, I kind of want to do like a fun, like gossipy, just like drink some wine and just talk about whatever we want to talk about. I think it would be really funny.
I think it'd be so fun.
It almost would be funny to like sit and face each other and just talk like
we're having a conversation.
We should like really like ask, like I want to ask stuff that people want to know about you that you've not publicized, and same like I feel like you probably know some stuff that I haven't put online yet. That would be kind of fun.
So it's like a dirt episode.
Yeah, that would be kind of fun.
That would be actually a lot of fun.
Let's go get our wine. Okay, everybody, we'll see you soon. Love you so much. Goodbye. Goodbye.